Polymer, any of a class of natural or synthetic substances composed of very large molecules called macromolecules that are multiples of simpler chemical units called monomers. Polymers make up many of the materials in living organisms, including, for example, proteins, cellulose, and nucleic acids. Moreover, they constitute the basis of such minerals as diamond, quartz, and feldspar, and such man-made materials as concrete, glass, paper, plastic, and rubbers. The word polymer designates an unspecified number of monomer units. When the number of monomers is very large, the compound is sometimes called a high polymer. Polymers are not restricted to monomers of the same chemical composition or molecular weight and structure. Some natural polymers are composed of one kind of monomer. Most natural and synthetic polymers, however, are made up of two or more different types of monomers. Such polymers are known as copolymers. Organic polymers play a crucial role in living things, providing basic structural materials and participating in vital life processes. For example, the solid parts of all plants are made up of polymers. These include cellulose, lignin, and various resins. Cellulose is a polysaccharide, a polymer that is composed of sugar molecules. Lignin consists of a complicated three-dimensional network of polymers. Wood resins are polymers of a simple hydrocarbon isoprene. Another familiar isoprene polymer is rubber. From lawn chairs to car parts, plastics come in all shapes and sizes. With all the plastic products found in most households, it's no surprise that some of them occasionally need repairing. It is a good idea to keep an epoxy that is specially formulated to bond and repair plastic surfaces on hand. Epoxy resins usually comprise four ingredients: the monomeric resin, a hardener, an accelerator, and a plasticizer. Manufacturers generally provide a standard formulation. However, the hardness and flexibility of the polymerized block can be manipulated by varying the amount of the individual components. When considering the effectiveness of an epoxy adhesive, it is useful to analyze the general formulation of the compounds that constitute it. Epoxies are created by polymerizing a mixture of two starting compounds, the resin and the hardener. When resin is mixed with a specified catalyst, curing is initiated. Curing is the process by which molecular chains react at chemically active sites, resulting in an exothermic reaction. Covalent bonds between the epoxide groups of the resin and the amine groups of the hardener that arise from this combination afford for the cross-linkage of the polymer, and thereby dictate the rigidity and strength of the epoxy.
Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be filming a video about how to make glue or epoxy out of tree resin. Now the resin I'm using is from spruce trees, but you can also make it from pine trees. So the one main thing I use in this video is an Altoids tin. You can use any sort of tin or metal to fry these on. You can even use rock. To start, you're going to want to take these little sap pouches off of the tree, and you can use a stick to pry them off. And there's a bunch of different things that look like sap. This is sap, it's just dried and old. You can use that too, you can pop it off. And this is what the newer sap looks like, and you can just pop this off with a stick or a rock. I wouldn't recommend using a knife because cleaning sap off your knife can be really hard. Same with using your hands, because once you have sap on your hands, if you don't have access to running water, it can be really, really hard to get off. So I've got my Altoids tin all filled up. The next step is to make a fire. And you're going to put this right over the fire, and you just want to melt all of these down to a liquid sap. You don't need a very big fire, just large enough to get a good set of embers at the bottom, because you're going to need to crush up one of those to make some coal dust, and you're going to mix that in with your resin. So for the resin, I have mine in a tin, so I can just put it next to the fire or make a small thing on top for it to sit on. It doesn't need much heat for it to melt, but it does need continuous heat, so make something like that. And when this turns to kind of sticky goo, you're going to want to mix in some coal dust. And the general rule for this is 1 part coal for 3 parts resin. So now I'm crushing up one of the embers. You want it to kind of turn into fine coal for it to mix well with the sap, so keep crushing until you have a powder. And I just put the sap container right on top of the coals, and as you can see, it's already starting to bubble. You just want to wait till that's fully dissolved. Once you've got your goo mixture, you can start mixing in your finely ground coal right straight into it. It'll start to turn the blackish color, and then you can let it cool down for a little while. You don't want it to become hard. You still want it to be a little bit sticky, but not quite this fluid. Just enough that you can wrap it around a stick like this, and it would stay. Now it's become a black tar-like substance. You can use it immediately if you have something you want to put it on, or if you want to save it for use later. You can use a stick like this. I just skin the top off this, and you can put the tip in and just roll it and let the epoxy stick to it. And it'll start to look like a torch, and that's exactly what you want. And later, if you want to use it, you can just take a lighter or put it over an open flame, and it'll start to drip, and that'll work as your glue. This is what it looks like finished, and I just wrapped it around the stick. With this project, definitely prepare to get your hands dirty, because like you can see, my hands are covered in coal. And this works really well. It definitely bonds with material. There's no way I'm getting it off this stick without heat. But when you want to, you can just put it right over like a heat source, and it'll drip off. And you can have it drip right onto what you want to glue. I've seen people make arrows with this to keep the notches in place. People...
Epoxy adhesives can be used to repair the bodies of passenger cars and livestock trailers, as well as the inside of boat hulls. However, they are not recommended for use on the outside of boat hulls because of their sensitivity to ultraviolet light. Clean the damaged area thoroughly and sand down any surface irregularities. Lay new fiberglass mats in place before mixing the resin and hardener. A coffee can lid is a good vessel for mixing. Use a brush to apply the epoxy mixture to the mat. Lay it on until the mat is thoroughly coated and entirely saturated. Let the resin cure according to the directions on the bottle. In a pinch, epoxy can substitute for wood glue when building furniture or cabinets. Its main advantage over wood glue is that it sets faster, making it useful for urgent situations. It can also be used as a secondary adhesives to reinforce the wood glue. Epoxy adhesives are used to laminate plywood with fiberglass. This increases the strength and durability of the construction. Epoxy resin is an excellent choice for coating bar tops and other frequently wet wooden surfaces. Epoxy adhesives can be used to repair wood rot or rust. Just fill in the damaged part of the wooden or metal beam and allow it to dry. When working with metal, choose an epoxy with the appropriate additives to prevent unwanted chemical reactions. Epoxy adhesives are used to reinforce fasteners. A common example is bolting heavy vibrating machinery to a concrete floor. Epoxy protects the bolt from corrosion, strengthens the joint, and delays stress-induced cracking. Epoxy adhesives are used to make custom jewelry. Superglue a picture to a bezel cup, then laminate it with a coating of epoxy. You can also make a window in a metal ring. You can even make a layered montage in a deep metal well using several inclusions and several coats of epoxy.